I think they all know that I'm the oldest of 5 children. I have 4 brothers, and that made me maybe a little bit tougher growing up, and I think they also know that made me fairly competitive. I have learned to try to three-dimensionalize myself in my job. It's why I have 12 sixth graders sitting here with me every morning and every afternoon. It makes for a hectic schedule sometimes, but it's good to have kids live in my space, and I've learned that about these jobs. Having the opportunity to let my hair down metaphorically makes a big difference. The relationships here are pretty spectacular, and faculty make it look easy, and yet they work tirelessly at their relationships with parents, with students, with each other. And so from an outsider looking in, it can look like a very sort of casual, easy place, but it only looks casual and easy. I think there's a lot of deliberateness in the relationships that have been cultivated over time, sometimes over a long time, to make for a very respectful community. I think those of us who work with kids can always end up feeling like we're chasing discipline after the fact, and the more you can lay track and groundwork for what it means to be a community that cares, and a community that works together, and a community that has ground rules so that everyone can feel safe, the easier it is when there is an infraction to then refer back to the assembly, the advisory conversation, the ways that we've been talking about wanting to be as a community. And so, I'm really proud that the faculty has worked so hard at that and has been so deliberate about community building. It isn't just the subject I teach. It isn't just the team I coach. It isn't just the play I direct or the music performance I'm in charge of. It isn't just the study hall I'm running. It's the small little interactions that have made enormous impact on students, and the teachers have really been spectacular at that. I think parents live in fear of being judged, that they're not good parents if their child makes a poor choice or if their child isn't as successful in all aspects of school life. And I think that's human nature. We all worry about what we should be doing better. Your goal is to prepare the child for the path. Parents are not supposed to be preparing the path for the child. You're not supposed to be getting all the obstacles out of their way. You're supposed to be letting them hit some obstacles, work through them, work past them, work around them, work over them, and that will help them become resilient adults. And so that's something we as parents can get caught up in, trying to get all the boulders out of the way. Sometimes a boulder in the road's not such a bad thing. It's painful while you're in it, but it can be a very healthy, important process for adults and students. When I arrived at MCDS, there was a sense that everyone was expert in his or her area and sort of held domain over a grade level in a discipline. And I tried to set the groundwork early for asking the question, why? Why do you do it this way? And kept reinforcing that why isn't an insult, why is just gathering of information. I really started to introduce this idea that as the nature of education has started to shift and we are asking students to collaborate more and more and more with each other, we as adults had to model more collaboration than we were modeling. And it's hard for adults, I think, to put students together in group projects and put them together in sort of cumulative, multifaceted, multidisciplinary assignments if the adults were all working sort of solo. And so I really started to push the envelope on making sure that we were that we knew what we were asking kids to do, that we understood that it could be complicated, and that we tried to model it ourselves. For as tricky a transition as that was in some areas, the benefits have been so obvious and marked. We now have sort of an infrastructure in upper school where each grade level has a dean, and the deans do take care of some of the things that they used to take care of when they were team leaders, but they're also helping the group of advisors on grade level stay on message about whatever themes or ideas we're trying to really hammer home for students as we're approaching a certain time of year or a certain kind of work. It's been very exciting to watch people take on leadership roles. I've always said as a division head, my job is to become obsolete. Not that you don't need somebody making the tough decisions or making the hard phone calls in this office, but that seeding leadership and seeding that kind of initiative among the teachers meant that things could move along, whether the person sitting in this office was here on a day or not here on a day, and giving people the opportunity to deepen their own skill set and try on leadership and see if that was something they were particularly interested in. Working under Lucinda has sort of broadened a skill set that I knew I needed to enhance and deepen, but I didn't know what I didn't know until I started working with Lucinda. I think I've learned that you can't really short-circuit process. Every once in a while you kind of have to just land on a square and make a decision, but having a deliberate, collaborative decision-making process works really well in a school environment. Making sure that you're checking in with all your various constituent groups about a direction you're moving towards and bringing them along in that process. It's rare that the youngest students take part in a graduation ceremony. And so I've been involved at different schools with different ways to say goodbye to the graduating class, but it's never actively included the entire school. And I just think that that's a really spectacular part of the closing of the MCDS school year, is that it really includes everybody. Everybody has a role. And I think that's a hallmark of what makes MCDS MCDS. So as I adjust to a new school and new traditions, it's going to be really hard for any place to match what that step-up ceremony looks like.